That thing, that beast, came from inside me, and it's still there. I can feel it.
Garfield's journey as a hero begins in forces of nature, which teaches BB to be more mindful of the feelings of others. This ties into Nevermore, where, in a more subtle way, he learns about Raven and to not make people do just what he wants. Then we get an episode in which he gets jealous of a pretty boy for attracting the attention of Raven and Starfire? Yeah, when your two most complex characters turn into teenagers who crush on a boy they just met, you know it's a bad episode. Alright, there is some other good development BB gets, like how every dog has his day teaches him not to manipulate others to gain attention, and how living life trying to earn the affection of others will only harm him. Spellbound teaches him how to comfort those different from him, and Things Change encourages him to let go of the past. But then you get episodes that either develop his character poorly or not at all, such as Crash, Don't Touch That Dial, and Employee of the Month. Or his Season 5 arc, which pretty much fumbles on top of itself in a series of barely connected characters and plotlines that don't produce any emotional resonance whatsoever. So it is safe to say that Garfield's journey is pretty messy. But arguably, the episode which is the peak to Garfield's journey as a hero is The Beast Within. The episode begins with Beast Boy being bothered by Raven's comments, and Adonis having a disturbing interest in Raven. As the fight continues, Beast Boy becomes increasingly filled with animal-like rage. Adonis feels as dominant and controlling as he pins Raven to the ground. The name Adonis comes from a story from Greek mythology about a man who fell madly in love with this woman named Erinoma. However, failing to receive her affection, he assaulted her. Zeus took revenge on him by striking him down. That story represents the main idea behind Adonis's character in this episode. He becomes a skewed perception of what Beast Boy believes to be a man. And why would Beast Boy not be confused, since he has never thought about that question or idea? When Adonis taunts BB about not being a man, BB just says, "I'm an animal." Once Beast Boy defeats Adonis and wakes up the next day, he feels that he has achieved the true status of what he considers quote-unquote man, and deserves better respect for it. He feels he has matured above the animals he once considered friends. The episode is solid on visual storytelling as we see the fact that the suit hides that Adonis is very small, to symbolize the fact that he did not represent what it meant to be a man as what Beast Boy thinks. When BB flips through the TV, we see a channel that is horror aesthetic, and then two channels that have Adonis's logo and color scheme. This foreshadows future events in this episode. The chemicals awoke something inside Beast Boy and Adonis, and unleashed how they felt deep within. The feelings and terrible thoughts that Beast Boy would bury deep inside now come bursting out for everyone to see. The theme of controlling others to help you out of your rocky situations is a common theme in the show. BB treats his friends in a very controlling way, especially the women around him.
Now be a good girl and get me another root beer.
And from the influence of Adonis, his skewed perception of what it means to be a man leads him to throwing a tantrum in his room. The scenes with him continually becoming more and more aggressive with his friends build up as he loses sight of what it means to be a man, and turns into progressively more aggressive animals. When he confronts Raven, knowing that tricking people into being nice to him doesn't work, decides to forcefully get her to respect him. His rage, caused by his self-centered attitude toward Raven, ultimately transforms him into a terrible beast. When Adonis comes for Raven, out of the fear of losing her, BB tracks him down to take her back. The episode wonderfully gives more insight into the inner emotions of Beast Boy, especially as the Beast. BB's obsession with Raven is represented throughout the show, but the narrative of the Beast within pays homage to that obsession. When he's being told he hurt Raven, he becomes so distraught at the idea of him doing such a thing. He begins to only think of her well-being, and not of his DNA breaking apart. His worry for Raven and the stress that Robin's confrontation puts him under makes him become the Beast again. When he comes to check on Raven, he sniffs her to get the scent of Adonis, and becomes so mad at the damage Adonis has done to her that he decides to get payback on him. During his stages as the Beast, he refuses to allow anyone else near Raven, while he protects her from the other monster. His deeper feelings are shown by the fact that he is willing to harm any of the other Titans who come close to her or try to take her away from him. He sees them as enemies just like Adonis, and attacks them to get closer to her. It takes intelligence to know that Gaston was not the Beast, but it takes wisdom to know that he was. In this way, discovering Adonis was the Beast who harmed Raven works on both the literal and metaphorical level. Even though Beast Boy is the one who can physically transform into animals, it is Adonis who actually had the heart of an animal. Knowing his violent actions in the lab caused Adonis to go feral in hunting Raven down. BB is put into the situation of being the odd one out.
And how are we supposed to deal with her? Why do you have to be so creepy?
You heard the kid. I don't exactly fit in.
The truth was that he considered Raven better than everyone else, but his inability to communicate that was making her feel lonely. He is now the one made to feel lonely, and so regretful and down because of his treatment of Raven. How his aggressive behavior caused his friends to distrust him and treat him like an animal, knowing that what he said was a part of how he felt. But then, just like what he did for her in Spellbound, Raven, now having an understanding of BB's emotions better than the rest, puts his bad behavior behind the both of them. The scene shows the two seeing their reflections in the water, symbolizing how closely they relate to one another's situation, despite their differences. Raven, knowing how it feels to lose control of her rage, comforts BB. There's a time to assert dominance and not to be passive, when watching others use people for their own desires. For BB, that time came to keep Raven safe. And maybe, just maybe, that is what it means to be a hero.
Having that thing inside doesn't make you an animal. Knowing when to let it out is what makes you a man.